Alright, hey, what's going on, guys? My name is Slickmoth, and I'm back again with another video. And before we get started, I just wanted to apologize for not uploading in the past 2 days. As many of you know, I try to upload every single day, but in the past few days, and actually weeks really, I've been working pretty much 8 or 9 hours a day. You know, I wish I could just make YouTube videos all day, but unfortunately that's not a viable option. But also, I've had a cold the last few days as well, so I haven't had time to make videos in between my time of working and that sort of thing. So anyhow, today I want to talk a little bit about Suicide Squad and also Batman v Superman and some of their Rotten Tomatoes scores and also the fan audience scores. So I'm looking at Rotten Tomatoes right now, and I want to focus specifically on Suicide Squad for this in particular, seeing that that one just came out. Okay, so Suicide Squad is at a 25% score on the tomato meter. So, you know, I feel like this is a little self-explanatory, but I'll explain for those of you that have been petitioning to have the sites shut down. Rotten Tomatoes is an aggregate site. They combine all of the reviews. So if a reviewer on their site says the movie is okay, it's watchable, then it will get a little ripe tomato emblem next to its review. If they say the movie's bad or it's unwatchable or it sucks, then there will be the little green puke splat thing, okay? And Rotten Tomatoes has essentially given Suicide Squad, again, on an aggregate level. They haven't actually decided this. This is just all of the critics combining together to make one voice, and they're saying that roughly 1 in every 4 critic will deem this movie watchable. 1 in every 4 critic will say this movie is okay. The other 3/4 say it sucks, okay? And we look at the audience score, which is giving this movie, you know, it's about 75% on the audience score. Every 3 and 4 fan is going to like the film, and also the average audience rating is a 4 out of 5, whereas the average critic review rating is a 4 out of 10, okay? So the average critic is giving this film a 4 out of 10, whereas if we convert the audience score, you know, from a 4 out of 5 to out of 10, that would be an 8 out of 10 for the audience score. So we're basically, the audience is giving this film a double of what it is out of 10 than a critic is. A critic's giving it a 4 out of 10 on average, whereas on average, a fan or an audience member, not even a fan, an audience member is giving the film an 8 out of 10. So the answer is self-explanatory in the title. That's not the point. The point of this video is not to say, is there a discrepancy? Of course, that's what the title says, but the answer is self-explanatory. Yes, there is a divide between critics and fans. Absolutely, 100%, no questions asked. There is a divide between fans and critics. So my job in the video, I feel as though, is to try to sort of uncover why this divide happens, where the divide exists, and on what level. And to answer the what level question first, the level is really, it's massive. There is a huge divide between critics and fans, to the point in which many critics are writing in their reviews, they're specifying that in the theater, everybody's loving the movie, everybody's loving all the beats of the film, but they simply aren't enjoying it, and they're even identifying that there may be a divide between critics and fans. That's the critics themselves. And I feel as though a lot of the sort of strain that critics are feeling right now is that they are losing control over the audience. In that the film is breaking records in the month of August, they're breaking records over the week. The film made roughly $13 million on Tuesday, which is just unheard of in August, you know. So the film is breaking records domestically, 165 million, and it's doing even better worldwide without China, whereas these other superhero films like Batman v Superman, like Civil War, have China. This film is likely on set to maybe outgrows both of those. Maybe not Civil War, that made a lot of money, but maybe Batman v Superman without China, okay? So this film's doing very well with again, 3 out of every 4 critics saying the movie outright sucks. And that's something that is really remarkable to the power of the film, and also to the power of the license, of the DC Comics license, which certainly is less powerful in a mainstream sense than is Marvel at the moment, but still is retaining that power with some select characters such as Deadshot, Batman, Harley Quinn, and the Joker. Now, some people have actually filed a lawsuit against Warner Brothers because the Joker is overrepresented in the trailers, which he absolutely is. Without a shadow of a doubt. Actually, every scene that he's in the film is sprinkled through the trailers and more. But I will remind you that the trailers are not marketed to fans. They're marketed to people that would otherwise never watch a superhero film. That's where the money really gets made. It is bringing the person that would otherwise never watch the film into the theater. How do you bring the 60-year-old grandmother who would never watch a Suicide Squad and probably wouldn't enjoy it if they did watch it, because it's a very hip film, if I may say so myself, and as somebody that's wouldn't really classify myself as the hipster type, you know, I really enjoyed the film, but it's definitely got those hipster vibes in there, you know, the music and the, you know, just the pacing of it. It's very fast paced, which is good for somebody like me that has ADD, but also really love Batman v Superman, which is a pretty slow to develop film. I compare Batman v Superman a lot to Titanic, in that Batman v Superman and Titanic, you know, you're waiting for the big moment in the movie, and that is in Titanic for the ship to sink, and in Batman v Superman, Batman and Superman to fight, and in neither of those films does the event that you actually came to the theater to see happen until like 2 hours into the movie, for Titanic and Batman v Superman. So it's one of those things where if you're not enjoying the first 2 hours, then you're probably very bored and regretting your decision to watch the film. And if you're not, you know, if the surrounding existential beats of the plot don't interest you, then you're going to hate both movies. And that's why Titanic and Batman v Superman have their fair share of haters. But anyway, back to the discussion of the divide between critics and fans. That's just sort of my ramble. Why does this exist? Why is it so broad here? And Marvel fans really love their films, and as do critics. So where's the divide? I think that partially it may be between the accessibility of the films, and I feel as though DC films are made specifically for the fans. And you know, you look at Suicide Squad, we're seeing characters like Katana, El Diablo, Killer Croc. These are characters that only DC Comics fans will know. Not even, you know, people that watch movies casually, comic movies casually, and like Batman, have Batman posters in their room. If you don't read comic books, if you don't play the Arkham games, you don't know who Killer Croc is. You don't know who Deadshot is, and you may play the Arkham games and still not know who Deadshot is. He's hardly in them. Okay, so these are B-list, C-list, D-list, Z-list characters. El Diablo is a Z-list character. Nobody knows who he is, okay? So the fact of it is, and this is why I think Suicide Squad is a really special film for me, because to see people in an audience, and I've seen the film 5 times, and every audience is very different, but to see people in the audience sort of embracing these characters, embracing characters like El Diablo and Killer Croc, and laughing at a Killer Croc joke, these are sort of things that I think represent the golden era of comic book film, and I think it's a really remarkable thing, and that's just very special moments for me to see, as I call them, normal people, you know, that aren't you and I mostly. Embracing these scenes, embracing these characters, that's a really special, these are special moments for me, and to see people laugh at a Harley Quinn joke and these sort of things. So where does the divide exist? I feel as though maybe, you know, Marvel can learn from DC in terms of a cinematic sense, but DC can also learn from Marvel, and I think what DC can learn from Marvel is to make their films more accessible to a casual audience, and to maybe ease into the universe just a little bit more than what they're doing. You know, I was always a very active, you know, voice before Batman v Superman came out, that introducing parademons and Darkseid and Omega symbols and these sort of things into a universe, into the second film, I think is a very bold move, and without any explanation, without explaining that explicitly, I think that's a very bold move, and maybe a mistake. We'll see. It really depends. And this is coming from a DC Comics fan that knows who Darkseid is, and knows what the Omega symbol is, and knows what parademons are. And I'm just thinking, because in Batman v Superman, once again, I saw that film 7 times in theaters, and every time a gaze of confusion just pulls over the audience whenever the Flash starts coming in, and you've got time travel, and you've got parademons. Everybody just gets so confused, and not in a way that like, oh, I'm gonna go home and research for endless hours about what parademons are and what the Omega symbol is and Easter eggs for the movie. It's mostly just like, okay, I'm ready for Batman and Superman to fight. Not me, I'm just saying the general audience. You can feel the vibe of the audience. And for Batman v Superman and Suicide Squad, the general vibe of the audience is loving the film. People really enjoyed Batman v Superman, and the fans always are just laughing nonstop at Suicide Squad. It's just a fun film. And it's a great way to share things like Joker and Harley Quinn's origin. I mean, you know, you never think that you would see that on the big screen and casual audiences embracing that. So that's why Suicide Squad's very special to me. But clearly critics don't like that. Critics want their hand held into the universe. So maybe DC can learn that from Marvel, and that Marvel films are very accessible to the point in which you could almost argue that they're made for the mainstream audience and not comic book fans. Of course, comic book fans love the MCU, and there's many moments that are sort of, you know, callbacks to the comics, like I'm thinking of Ant-Man turning into Giant Man off the Arrow. You know, these sort of things are very, you know, sort of pay homage to the comic book fans. But there's also moments that, you know, don't come out of the comic books and are very much so there to please the casual audiences. So DC, I think, can manage that a little bit better. But then again, Suicide Squad had a lot of those moments, and I think Suicide Squad in many ways is made for the casual audiences as well as the comic book fans. But just seeing things like, you know, Harley Quinn falling into the vat of acid, I mean, it's just remarkable stuff. And Suicide Squad, to me, is easily one of the top 5 best comic book films of all time, as are all 3 of the DCEU films in my personal opinion. So again, here's what I'm saying. I feel as though DC can maybe make their universe a little bit more mainstream. Keep the comic book innuendos and references and allusions, keep all of that stuff, but maybe just make it just a little bit more understandable for the casual audiences. But that's where I feel the divide lies. The divide lies between fans that know the characters, that don't need any explanation of who Katana is or her backstory, and we can just go into the film and enjoy it. Whereas the casual fans, they feel as though, or the critics thereby, are feeling as though they're missing something. They're missing a development of the plot. They feel as though the characters are underdeveloped, which is not necessarily the case. They're just going into it with they're going into the film with less knowledge. So that's where I feel as though DC can maybe change their universe around, and as a huge DCEU fanboy that I am, that loves all three of the films, I feel as though that's maybe a way that DC can please the critics a little bit more, because the critics are important. They are important to a certain degree. On another degree, they're not important because the film's making so much money even with the negative reviews. But I think longevity in the box office is determined by the critics, and that'll be very important. Maybe 2 months down the line, is Suicide Squad still in theaters? That will determine if people, casual audiences, are still going to see the film. Of course, many of us fans are going to see the movie again and again, and I'll be seeing it for the 5th or 6th time very soon. I kind of lose count. But anyhow, hope you guys have enjoyed the video. If you did, feel free to give it a thumbs up. Let me know if you want to see me do more DCEU videos in the future. My name is Slickmoth, and we'll see you in the next one.